So this is our inaugural Raising Money Masterclass. We're going to be doing this with about 6 or 7 speakers every couple of months. And we have a big conference coming up here in January. And plus we're partnering, for our mentorship, and we'll talk a little bit about that later, with Richard Wilson and the Family Office Club. So anybody that partners with us and wants to get mentored, they're also going to get the Family Office Club included, which is an incredible value. We'll chat about that. But I'd like to introduce Richard Wilson, my partner on the Capital Raiser show, my partner in a lot of things. We're writing a book together. Very excited. I'm very blessed to have Richard as my partner. We're going to turn it over to you, my brother. Please tell us a little bit about yourself. And, I'll let you kind of take it away, because I know that you speak on a lot of topics that can be included right here in this book that a lot of syndicators do not speak about. Not only do you help family offices, but you help other syndicators scale, and you love talking about capital raising. In fact, you have a podcast yourself about the topic. So welcome.
Awesome. Yeah, appreciate you having me here, Ruben. How's my audio coming through for you guys?
It's good. It's good.
Awesome. Great. Trying to make sure I'm at the Ruben level of production here. You're super high energy, Ruben. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to partner with you on your podcast. And yeah, we run a family office podcast. And for years we thought, should we do a separate podcast on capital raising? And then Ruben comes out of nowhere with 1 million downloads. And I say, well, how can we help Ruben just make this go faster and work together? So we've enjoyed getting to know Ruben. And if we haven't officially invited you already, Ruben, you're invited to speak at our mastermind in October coming up. So we'll have to coordinate on that. So you'll bring some energy to the room, I'm sure. So I've got a ton of slides and I try to cover today. I'm going to be going really quick through them, but I'd like to stop anytime someone has a question. And I think there's a little Q&A function here in the webinar software. So we can easily catch your questions there and try to make this as interactive as possible. I'm going to go over things as diverse as ideas I've been learning from studying billionaires and interviewing billionaires, to what we learned at a recent event where we had $40 billion worth of capital raising talent on stage. We had 10-minute talks and we had 20 of them in one day, only from people who have raised 100 million or billion plus. I'm going to share some things I learned from that. And as Ruben said, my name is Richard C. Wilson. I started our private investor club called Family Office Club 16 years ago. I have 24 employees. I've sourced and originated and closed about $500 million worth of transactions myself. And we get a multiple of that done typically in an average year through the club, just through the greater community. And so I'm going to share my screen now and see. Right, probably in 2 or 3 seconds, it'll load for you guys here.
We can see it.
There we go. All right. So what I hope is that you get at least one idea from here that's going to make you $1 million in fees or help you raise millions and more dollars and really move the needle, and not just be a nice suggestion to keep in mind, but a key thing that if you do will change everything. So I don't know if you're in Singapore or Nigeria or New York City watching this. So obviously your legal vehicle and what you're selling or raising capital for is going to change based on that. I've written 13 books. We've hosted 250 live events the last 16 years, and we've interviewed 26 billionaires so far. So that's the lens that we're looking through. And we're going to be sharing some experiences of working with ultra wealthy families. Many times we're helping a family set up their family office. Right now we're working with 6 different families that are worth around 100 to 170 million each in setting up their family offices. So a lot of the comments I make will be what I've learned while representing them, sourcing deals for them, their preferences and how they cut things out very quickly, and show the capital raising side of that. Here's my team. Won't bore you with more details on that, but that's how we get everything done. Okay, so for 12 years, I negotiated the purchase of billionaires.com. I followed up every 2 to 4 months and just annoyed them until they caved and sold it to me for about half off what they were trying to sell it to me for 12 years. And I said, every time I'd be like, hey, look, no one's bought it the last 9 years. Why don't you sell it to me for the price I want? And eventually they came around and we met in the middle and got something done. So what I'm doing here is I'm reading every book ever written by a billionaire. I'm interviewing 100 billionaires. We interviewed Tony Robbins and Jeff Hoffman and the founder of eChannel, along with many other non-famous billionaires you've never heard of. And we're basically learning from them how to manage our time, how to get things done faster, and just some real quick insights from this. I won't read off the whole slide because you can access this through Ruben, but only working on exciting things, only taking meetings I want to take, only working on ideas that are scalable to 100 million or $1 billion plus, adding value first, which is an idea I got from Sam Zell. His book is one of my favorites. It's called Am I Being Too Subtle? Work hard and smart. Every billionaire, except for just one or two, works very hard, and they're always getting smarter and innovating and reading and learning all the time. You could learn how to raise capital or run your business from someone who plays on Duke University's team, and who knows, maybe that person will go on to play pro ball. Or you could learn from this guy. If you could learn from one of these two people, who would you want to learn from? Obviously, Michael Jordan. But again and again at my events, I say, who's read more than 20 books written by a billionaire? And in the room, there'll be 0 people that raise their hand out of 700 people. And I'll say, how many people here have read 200 books? And almost everyone's hand goes up. So what's happening is we're reading books and learning from people, not that are good at business or at raising capital typically, but just are good at marketing their books. And so we should switch that around and learn from billionaires, because they're the winners in the game of capitalism. And that's why I'm studying this area, just sharing what we're learning in real time on billionaires.com if you want to learn with us. So this interview with Tony Robbins, he talked about the power of proximity. That's what this webinar is all about. Hanging out with, learning from, sucking in information from people who have raised a lot of capital or found all different strategies on how you can raise capital. Tony actually raised 400 or earned 400 million profit off of one deal through the power of proximity. But also he said that he works less hard now with 110 companies doing 7 billion in revenue than he did when he had 10 million a year in revenue within his own one company, because he went from operator mode to owner mode. So owner mode means you're acting as the chairman. You're not doing all the nitty gritty stuff. So getting elevated above your business, I totally agree with the previous statements that at the beginning, you want to make sure things go right. You want to get the processes in place, et cetera. But the faster you can hire someone who's much, much better than you at talking to investors, or much better than you at the graphic design, et cetera, even if they're not full-time on your team, the better, because you can go more into what you're really good at, or go into just pure owner mode versus operator mode. I think we have one chat here. Neil said, love the hedge fund book. Awesome. Appreciate you reading that. If you have any other questions, just feel free to submit them. One of my mentors, Evan Pagan, he had the chance to ask one question to Bill Gates and one question to Steve Jobs in the same day. And it was at a big tech conference like 20 years ago. And he says, really interesting, they both had very similar starts to their answers and completely different ends. Bill Gates said, well, because the question was, how have you had so much success? And that's what Evan asked. And Bill Gates said, well, not everything's been a success. We've had a ton of failures, but after you have one big success like Windows, then you hire a bunch of managing directors and you systematize it and you scale your business. And Steve Jobs, he started out answering the same thing. He said, oh, well, we've had way more failures than success. We just keep the things that work. But the most important thing is you have to care. And so for him, it was a completely different approach, a different lens. And when you study billionaires or anyone like capital raisers on this webinar, there's going to be some that resonate with you and the way you work. There'll be some where you can use their strategies now, some you use their strategies later. And that was just one takeaway from that interview. So related to things not working, one of the most famous billionaires is Richard Branson. He's famous for Virgin Airlines, Virgin Mobile. He has over 500 companies, multi-billionaire, PR expert. But he also admits that not all of his businesses go well. Just because he's Richard Branson, he's well capitalized and he's famous and can inject a ton of energy and he's great at hiring people. He had one brand called Virgin Brides. He said they couldn't find any customers for it and they went out of business. Just one example. Here's a bunch of books I recommend you read. If you are new to studying billionaires, besides looking at the interviews we've done on billionaires.com, here's a whole bunch of books. This will help you in raising capital because entrepreneurs respect winners in the game of capitalism. These are the winners, and you are raising capital mostly from entrepreneurs. If they are a medical doctor, maybe they're an anesthesiologist making $1 million a year and they're not a business owner. But probably for most of you on here, 90% of the people you raised from were an entrepreneur that focused on real estate and they run a real estate brokerage team or a real estate investment company, or they had a portfolio of real estate, or they built and sold their company, or their company earns them 7 figures a year. So they respect the ideas from these people. And if you use these ideas, your company will grow and you'll be able to raise more capital, is what I've found. One thing that I've been doing is getting up anywhere between 3:30 in the morning and 5 a.m. I did 1 month this summer while traveling heavily, where I got up at 3:30 a.m. every day, including the weekends. And there's some other ideas on here related to this habit that I think can really help yourself. But a famous quote from Michael Jordan was the morning after winning his 3rd championship ring, he was practicing, and he was on the court practicing starting at 6 a.m. One of the other players showed up, one of the rookies showed up at 7 a.m. To shoot around. And he said, "Hey, Michael, what are you doing in here?" And Michael said, "Well, the better question is, where were you an hour ago?" So there might be sacrifice that comes with working really hard. But if you're really passionate about what you do, then you improve faster, you study more, and you run circles around other people that are not passionate about what they do. When I fly first class, I'm typically the only person working when I'm in there. And I guess the other people are retired or they took care of their work and they're just much more efficient than me. But there's always a lot of exciting things going on at Family Office Club. So I always have things I want to make progress on, get things done, get on top of things. And, this year I've gone to 5 countries and did Everest Base Camp, trek in Nepal with friends. I've gone on 3 backpacking trips, took my kids with me on week-long trips to Austria and Croatia and Italy, et cetera. I've traveled a lot, done a ton of fun things. But I also get a lot done, and this is part of how I get a lot done. There's some billionaire time rules I wanted to cover with you, which is to be direct in communications, but be polite and professional. Be ruthless in prioritizing your time. And I like how in 10X mentor Grant Cardone says he's not a jerk about it, but if he only has 5 minutes to give someone, he'll say it in a positive, enthusiastic way, in a high energy way. And, people either respect that or don't. And he doesn't really bother himself too much with, if some people don't love the fact that he's super busy, then, maybe he just won't work with those people, So making sure you've aligned your time and making sure that you do what's needed, not what's easy, are some important things when it comes to managing your time. This topic, I could go really deep on. I actually have a 30-minute video on this I'm releasing soon if anyone wants to learn more about it. But essentially, in business, there's some things you can acquire or buy that makes everything else go faster. And I think I've got a slide on this in a second to make it more obvious. But here in the Middle East, there's a strategic point where in the Red Sea, where 30% of the world's oil flows through, and no one country can control this, or they would control too much of the global oil supply. So every major power in the world has military bases right where these arrows are pointing. That's a strategic choke point. If you could control that and dominate that, then you'd have a big edge in the world, in the energy world at least. And so in our business, an edge in the world is us owning billionaires.com and familyoffices.com. It is writing the first book on centimillionaires. It was writing the first book on single family offices. It was having 4.7 million social media followers in the investment space. There's not too many people that can claim to have that who are running an investment club or an investor club, right? Other things could be research that you've gained or a leadership position you have somewhere. Once you have it, if it's hard to displace you and it just gives you more momentum and more capital or more distribution or more clients, then you gain momentum and it helps you acquire more and more choke points. So in our business, it was becoming the #1 website in the family office industry in 2008. We then became the largest network of registered ultra wealthy families and family offices. And we made a point to focus on that because at the beginning, we talked about hedge funds, capital raising, and family offices. And we found that no one cared about the topic we started to write about, which was hedge funds. They cared about family offices and private investors and ultra wealthy families the most. Then they cared about capital raising second and hedge funds third. We also realized hedge funds could come in and out of favor. People with the most money on planet Earth, probably always going to be popular people and a topic people want to dig deeper on. So that's what we chose our positioning around. Having best-selling books, we have more groups and members on LinkedIn than anyone else in finance or investments. The #1 conference series, and then owning commercialrealestate.com and owning billionaires.com. Another example is last year we acquired the #1 social media asset in the dental industry. It's called dentalclub.com. We have 350,000 members in that. And the reason we did that is that the wealthiest families we know focus on one or two niches. And in the operating business side of things, we only focus on multi-location, profitable medical practices. And so that's dental and medical. And so we're in the med spa space, pain clinics, primary care, and dentists. We're looking to get into dermatology and oncology next, but that's our focus for any capital raising or balance sheet work that I do on the operating business side. And I believe in this choke point concept so much. We are the #1 domain name asset owner in that space as well. We own dermatologist.com, facials.com, parasitologist.com, immunologist.com, 20 others that you don't care to hear about, but you get my point. So we really believe this choke point model really transformed our whole business and really changed my life. So that's why I wanted to share it with you here today. One quick concept is that it took me about a decade to realize this. Every time you go into any meeting to raise capital, likely, hopefully, the investor is already up one of these 3 trust curves: leadership, the industry you're in, and understanding, trusting it, or they're familiar with the opportunity or they're local to it. This is why people raise capital from friends and family first. They already trust the leadership. So you can raise capital from your brother-in-law, even if he's never heard what an NFT is before. He might toss you $50,000 out of trust you built over Thanksgiving dinner, right? Or old colleagues or friends. But after you get through friends and family, then it's a matter of, okay, well, who else can I raise capital from on planet Earth? And, if it's self-storage, then most people have used a storage unit and the industry is not super foreign to them. If your industry is hard to understand, like you raise capital for data centers instead of storage, or you raise capital for stem cell treatment centers instead of self-storage, well, then, the industry, it's going to be more helpful if they know your industry or they made their money in your industry. Then it's going to be, they'll recognize your value and they'll be excited. That's why 70% of the deals we do in the medical space, we fund with doctors or go to doctors first. They're strategic money. We don't have to teach them the ABCs of insurance receivables or payment plans or how patients scale up over time. And so the big lesson here is that when you go into a meeting, you need to think to yourself, do they already trust me? Do they already know the industry? Okay, then I need to get them on site at the oil rig or the storage center or the stem cell therapy center, get them on site to show them what it's like, or show them the walkthrough video like the one I recorded for the med spa that we're closing on right now. We're buying 50% of a med spa to build out a med spa MSO. And we walked through the med spa recording a video, and we invite people to go there in person if they would like to invest. And so that's something that kind of gets them there in person. If people walk through the manufacturing floor, like we did for a bath salt manufacturing company that we've done 3 rounds of capital raising for in the past, then that is something that really helps kind of get them there and feel local to the opportunity and hopefully encourage them to visit in person. If you're going into meetings with investors and they don't know you, they don't know the industry, they're not local to the opportunity, then you're just wasting your time and you're wasting the investor's time. They're probably never going to invest with you. I see a Q&A popping up here. What's the difference between family office, syndications, and other models? Yeah, so a family office is just simply a way to manage your wealth. It's more sophisticated, more holistic, more well-rounded than how a normal high net worth person would manage their wealth. So if you're worth $1 million and you make a mistake on your taxes, you file something late, you don't get your structure quite right. It might be a $6,000 mistake, maybe a $2,000 mistake. If you mess something up, the IRS, they send you a letter and say they're fining you for $42 or $420. If you're worth $10 million, becomes moderately painful. And maybe you make a mistake and it costs you $10,000 or $30,000. Maybe it costs you, a used Tesla because of your mistake, right? And the main point is it gets to the point where a small mistake at 10, 20, 30 million net worth could have afforded you a full-time employee to prevent that mistake, prevent other future mistakes, free up your time, do annoying paperwork for you, research leads for you, book your calendar for you, book travel for you, and 100 other things. And so when you're worth 20, 50, 100 million, 200 million, you are paying a lot in terms of mistakes and just being slow and not being the true entrepreneur you want to be when you're bogged down with all this stuff and you don't have a support system, you don't have a strategic plan. So when you have a family office, you need to know your direct investment plan, your public market plan, your real estate plan. And those are 3 different brains typically that manage those 3 components. And you need accounting, a CFO, proactive tax planning, et cetera. And if you don't have those things, then you're just not able to play offense anymore because you're bogged down by everything around you and you're making mistakes and paying way too much you're overpaying what you actually are due on taxes. So I hope that answers the main part of your question. You found not as much interest in hedge funds as family offices and real estate. Yeah, so Benjamin, what I'm basically saying is that many family offices invest with a lot of hedge funds. But what I'm saying is that when I was providing education on my blog, which is how it started out in the business, I would write blog posts on the hedge fund industry. We'd get hundreds, thousands of views. But when I wrote one on family offices, then it was like wildfire and it took off. And we got 7,000, 8,000 hits a day to our blog that I started for free on blogger.com. So the content just went viral. We had a special report we released on Singapore, family offices in Singapore, and it got 21,000 views over 3 days and got passed around between all the bankers and people in Singapore, Hong Kong, et cetera. And so that was back in 2006, 7, 8, 9. So it was just more of the content. It wasn't that hedge funds were bad or are bad for family offices, more so just like the type of content that kind of took off. That goes with like Sam Zell's comments in his book about how if everyone's going left, you need to go right. If everyone's talking about one thing, talk about something else, do something unique, do something different than what everyone else is doing, so you're not lost in the herd. This is really, I think there's another question here. Oh yeah, great. Yeah, no problem, Benjamin. Just let me know if you have more questions. So what I find is there's a few things people are missing that almost everyone is missing when they're raising capital. And all these things cost almost nothing. It's silly not to have these things. I tell everybody they need to have them, and almost everyone ignores me. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, nice idea. And they just don't do this. I don't know why, but most people have a pitch deck. It's usually way too long. They like to have 44-page pitch decks that nobody reads. Put the word Mickey Mouse in the middle of a paragraph. Tell your team and your spouse to read it. Even your own team is not going to read every word of your own 44-page pitch deck, is my experience. So I think you need to make pitch decks 20 pages, 25 pages max, and you have to have a one-pager. That's what almost everyone misses. Take the best visuals from your pitch deck, make a one-pager. You have to have a one-liner. The one-liner convinces people to open your one-pager. The one-pager convinces people to get on the phone with you and walk through the few pages of your pitch deck that actually matter. And the thing that just about everyone's missing, even if you have all three of those things, is a video from the founder that is 2 to 4 minutes long. Introduce yourself. If you're articulate, intelligent, confident, passionate, and you're describing something, your one-liner, in a way that makes people lean forward and know what you're doing and be excited about it, then you're going to suck people into your world. If you can't capture them in a sentence, you're dead in the water. And you might as well not do what you're doing if you're not excited about it. And when you tell it to investors, they're not excited about it. You're just wasting everyone's time, including yourself. And you need to go back and find a higher quality partner. And that was one of the number one takeaways from our event with $40 billion raised from people on stage. They said, like 6 different people out of the 20 said their secret was getting the most high quality partner possible. And then that helped them scale ridiculously fast. There was a 39-year-old on stage who manages $10 billion, and their world changed when they got a really highly credible partner that they were raising capital for. And many other examples from on stage. How do you grow and nurture connections on LinkedIn for raising capital? This could be a full day workshop. So I'm going to try to list out a whole bunch of things. One, we have lots of groups on LinkedIn that we moderate, that we own, that we participate in, et cetera. We started those from scratch and grew them up over time. We get other people, interview them within articles, and then have them comment on the article and like it, and then their network sees it. We pay for sponsored updates on LinkedIn. We pay for in-mails on LinkedIn. We connect with people on LinkedIn directly. We pay for a premium version of LinkedIn so we can reach out directly to billionaires and family offices and invite them to speak on stage. We'll target people who made money in a very specific industry and then show them a medical deal in the same city where they live, or offer to meet up with them while we're traveling to their city. We'll ask for help on things we're working on. Like today, I put out a post saying that we need some help finding a New York City venue or like a venue partner for our family office events there, hoping there's a family office that owns a hotel or a ballroom in New York City, and we could host an event there at cost or for free and give them massive exposure to our network. But giving value first and providing thought leadership is the number one way that we grow our network on LinkedIn. Because when you email someone that you don't know or LinkedIn message them, they don't owe you a response. So you have to make it in their best interest to respond to you and approach them with, hey, I have a client that looks like a great lead. I have another family that's worth $50 million and they're in your same industry. Would you guys like to connect real quick over email? Or, hey, I've got a structure that can save you equity every time you open a new service location in your business. Can I send it over to you, or can we chat for 5 minutes and talk about it? Because we've worked with others just like you, and I'm 90% sure you could use this and it works. Those are the best ways I've found to use LinkedIn. Ruben, do you know about how much more time I have? Sorry, I didn't start a timer when I got started here.
No, you're good. Actually, we can probably, let me turn on my camera here. Can you bring me on, Vinky?
We
So,
can see you are on. I think Richard is sharing, so that's
yeah,
the reason.
amazing presentation. I was just at your San Francisco event, and you talked about something that was very powerful towards the end. I'm thinking maybe we can cut that presentation right here, and then maybe you could talk about this, which is, you mentioned that one of the family offices or members of the family office club came to you and said, hey, we just exited. We have a big chunk of money. I want to go and buy a bunch of companies, like 10 companies. And you said, hey, well, if I was in your position, I would kind of take a different approach. Can you share that example? Because I thought it was so powerful.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought it up in that way, because if you help investors and you have an arsenal of tools to help investors in different ways, then you can gain their respect quickly. And the fastest way I can gain their respect if someone is worth 100 million plus that works almost every time is I either give them a structure that helps them not get diluted as much as they grow their company or as they raise capital for something, or I help them identify a strategic choke point. And so what I was saying on stage is that, let's say you sold your company in the tractor business and you had an exit for $50 million or $30 million. Well, now you might go out and say, okay, let's do it again. Let's buy 10 companies at $500,000 EBITDA each, put them together, put a red bow on top, add some value, and then sell them to private equity and try to get it to 10 million EBITDA, and we'll have this huge exit. And what I found is that you can go do that. You could buy 10 companies, but it's much more powerful, faster, and your wealth will grow exponentially if you instead say, what's the trend in the tractor space? It's selling direct to the agricultural customers, direct to the farmers, et cetera. And so if they have some website called tractordirect.com, which I don't think exists, but like if they did, buying that, or buying something else that's a trend direct to consumer, direct to the buyer, et cetera, like let's say a tractor expo event in Las Vegas, or more likely Omaha, Nebraska, right? And you went out and instead of doing 10 investments, 2 of your first 5 investments were buying 50% equity or just 10% equity of the #1 expo in the tractor equipment industry, and going out and buying tractorsdirect.com and buying 100% or again 50% or 51% equity in that. Now you can identify more deal flow at the expo event or through the website. You can invest in a company and pump their sales by putting them at the front of the expo or the front of the website. You could buy somebody's aftermarket tractor equipment that competes against 4 other people, take the other 4 off of tractordirect.com and just market the one that you own. And you can go to someone and say, hey, I know you're raising capital at 12 million valuation, but we are who you want to be when you grow up. We've had our big exit in the tractor space. So why don't you let us come in, invest at an $8 million valuation, but we're going to double your business. So yeah, we're going to have a little more equity in a normal investor who's just a passive investor, but we're going to make the pie twice as big. And that's a way to explain to families how powerful a choke point can be, because you'll just get more deal flow, better terms. And what I tell all of my private investors is if you can see deal flow first exclusively and at a better valuation, then you win in the game of investing. And that really gets their attention, no matter how big of an ego they have and how much they're like, all right, what's this Richard guy bothering me with? What's he trying to sell me? Or what's he doing? If they have any of that type of skepticism in their brain, then you just transfer over a mental model that could obviously make them a ton of money, and then their shields go down and they're saying, okay, let's meet, or let's see how we could do business together, et cetera.
Awesome. Hey, so I think I saw a couple of hands go up. I'm not sure, Vinky, if you can see the questions. I'm missing that. Do you want to either let somebody come off mute, or potentially, I'm not sure if they should put their question in the chat, but let's give Richard the opportunity to answer 1 or 2 more questions real quickly, and then we'll transition to the next part.
Sure. There is another question, Richard, for you. What journals or news sources do you follow to keep you on the edge?
Yeah, so I was reading Wall Street Journal and getting my Apple News feed I'd customized for myself. But 2 months ago, like the level of activity in our business went way up. We bought a small company that had a couple of million social media followers, and it bumped us to almost 5 million on social. And the amount of text messages and emails and LinkedIn messages went through the roof. And so I've just been on a media fast. And Dan Sullivan says there's two types of information in the world. There's specialized knowledge and worthless knowledge. Most news is worthless knowledge. If Maui burns down, I hear about it from 8 people. If something really big happens in general news, I hear about it through multiple people. Otherwise, I would rather have billionaire ideas going into my brain rather than a whole bunch of news, or maybe this person's going to run, or maybe this person's going to get impeached. So you basically are not being on the edge of being informed, but I learned from the river of messages coming through my inbox and the meetings and everything. So it's a trade-off. I don't expect to ignore the world forever, but right now I'm just doing a media fast just to focus on getting on top of everything.
What do you say? One more quick one?
I do not see any question in the Q&A. There is one more actually. What is the best way to bring you to a deal?
Cool. Yeah, and I see the other question as well. I can answer both real quick on what's the best way to study choke points. So the best way to bring me a deal is to shoot me an email. It's just richard@familyoffices.com. If you have a one-liner or a one-pager, even better. If you don't, then just attach whatever you have and describe what you're looking for. But I'm a real big email guy, just like Mark Cuban. Whatever could be said on a phone, you can typically say in an email. And some people are really adamant, like, no, it can only be said over the phone. But it just shows you don't really understand your idea really well if you can't say it concisely over email. So I just tell people, like, whatever I'd say on the phone, just type it into that email, take a look, try to get back to you as fast as I can. Best way to study choke points is straight from the place I learned it. There's a book called Mastering the Rockefeller Habits. And it's by Vern Harnish, amazing book. I've read it 3 or 4 times. And on the Family Office Club YouTube channel, we do have a video, I believe, on choke points. If you can't find that, then let me know and I'll find it for you. And then current books I'm reading, I'm going through the 240 books that billionaires have written, about 50 books into that. So I'm reading a book by Rockefeller right now that was written in 1909, but I just finished the Sam Zell book. And I had that slide a couple minutes ago that showed you 20 different billionaire books. So we can get you the slides from Ruben if you missed that, but it's got about 20 different billionaire books that you should probably read. And most likely you haven't read all of those on there.
Okay, so one thing that you said, Richard, that I've in the past had a major limiting belief around, which is this concept that you brought up, which is all of the greatest, most successful entrepreneurs not only work smart, but they work incredibly hard, which is something that I studied from a book. A lot of people, Tyler Chester brought it up, a book called Think and Grow Rich. What a lot of people don't know is that Napoleon Hill's written like about 20 books, if not more. There's one that I read called How to Own Your Own Mind that Zach Happenstall recommended to me. And it talks about, it's kind of like a podcast interview between Napoleon Hill and Andrew Carnegie. And he goes into this topic in great detail about not only do you have to be singular or focused, but you have to work smart and work hard. And I had this thing where I was really afraid of success. And I talked to a personal development coach and he's like, why are you afraid of success? I'm just like, because I don't want to be trapped into this box where I like don't get to get vacations and, like I'm stuck working extremely hard. And he's like, no, you got this all wrong. What if I told you that you could work less and impact more? And I started to buy into this concept that I actually could just work smart and not hard. And these books that I've been reading, including one, if anybody likes incredible adversity and like callousing your mind to become really strong, recommend a book that I'm reading right now called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. It's incredibly powerful. Whoa, it is. I mean, it's particularly if you listen to the audio because there's all kinds of additional content in the audio. Highly recommend that book. But, with that, we're going to let you go here. We have another ticket that we're going to be giving away to the Super Summit here in just a few minutes. But I want to go ahead and share my screen and talk a little bit about what we're creating here and the whole purpose of today's event. We're going to be doing a lot of these events about once a quarter, about every couple months. We're going to have another Raising Money Masterclass and a incredible conference with probably about 25 speakers, a virtual conference. And of course, let me go ahead and share my screen and chat a little bit about what we are building here in conjunction with the Family Office Club. So if you want to take a second here and scan this QR code, you'll be able to access the same stuff that I'm going to talk about here for the next couple minutes. I'm not going to go into a crazy sales pitch. I believe if you have to sell at the end, it's because you haven't created value. And we're going to be providing a lot of free value. And for those that really want to take their capital raising to the next level, then I think we have something that might be right up your alley. So let's see here if I can. Okay. So I'm just going to kind of ad lib here. And this is what I'm seeing from, even my mentors. They started selling programs for around $10,000. And then now they have these all-inclusive programs that are like $40,000. We don't want to do that whatsoever. What we're charging, I'll tell you right up front, is going to be around $10,000. This is at the very beginning, and it includes a $5,000 package, which is the Family Office Club. And I can tell you personally, by hanging out with Richard Wilson, not only am I a better capital raiser, a better syndicator, but I'm also a better human being. And this is the power of hanging out with Richard. Like, he doesn't even mentor me personally, but just by watching him speak, hearing him talk about the concepts that he speaks about at his family offices and in his books, like, I'm becoming a greater citizen of the world. And I invite you, like, come check him out in person or at these other events that some of them are going to be for free. So here's a little bit about our program. This is probably the only part that I'm going to read. Our vision is to become the go-to educational program for capital raisers looking to scale from 1 to 5 million. And anybody that joins us, we're going to keep you on board until we 5X, until we help you 5X. Obviously, there's going to be some work on your part. There's a lot of guys that are saying, oh, you can completely automate it and, just turn on a light switch and the capital comes flowing in. Believe me, guys, it's harder than that. So we're going to work with you and get you to the point where you scale. And that means all kinds of systems, tools, technology. And I'm going to go over some of this. I'll also read the mission statement that we have: empower individuals with knowledge and skills to confidently raise capital while fostering innovation and growth. So here's here's how you know if this is a program that is good for you. Because I have some family offices that come to me and they're like, Ruben, we've raised $20 million and we want to scale, but we don't have a website. We don't have automations. We don't have a podcast. We don't have a platform. We don't have social media presence. And they're asking for help. So this is where I think we can kind of step in. And, I think there's a lot of other opportunities. If you're raising from $50,000 investors and you want to go bigger, you want to go JV, you want to go co-GP, you want to raise from family offices, you want to raise from institutions, this is the environment where I think you're going to want to hang out with. Now, you're going to go crazy trying to remember everything. So what I would suggest is hang out with us. If you're not interested in or ready to purchase anything right now and you want to vet us, please, look at all of our testimonies and the things that we do on social media. If you've maxed out your friends and family, just like some of these family offices, this is going to be a great opportunity for you to come and hang out. Whether you purchase our program or just want to hang out and network with other capital raisers, we're going to provide that environment for you. And if you're ready to cut the learning curve, this is going to be a fantastic way to do so. So you're going to get educational modules, and we're actually going to record these live in front of people. We're going to do expert sessions where we bring in a capital raising expert and then open it up for networking within and from outside of our community. So a lot of people from different groups that we know. I've interviewed like 300 people, the most successful syndicators on the planet. We're going to be bringing those guys in. We're going to do exclusive events. We're going to have an incredible community. And here's some of the stuff that Camila's really good at. She can hook you up with some done-for-you newsletters. There's investor onboarding that we're going to teach you and walk you through. Not only investor onboarding, like a $50,000 investor, but how do you onboard a co-GP? That's something that I spend a lot of time doing. So we'll be able to talk about that and tech tools and accessing the different portals, also like the CRMs that you might use. And I think here's an important part. Like, a lot of people can keep themselves accountable, but some of us need help. Like, I need to hang out with the Richard Wilsons of the world. I need to hang out with people that are going to be like, Ruben, did you do the things that you said that you're going to do? So we're going to help people with accountability. It's going to be very powerful. This is a crazy bonus. I can't believe that we're offering this. One-on-one sessions with Vinky, Camila, or myself. We can break that up into 20-minute sessions, but 6 of them. Now, once again, our people in the industry are charging ridiculous amounts, like 20,000 just to be mentored, and then another 20,000 for a mastermind. We're like way below that. We're like at the $10,000 range, including a $5,000 family office club, which is bonus number 2. So that's going to be a $5,000 value. If you want to go to some of the in-person conferences, we can put together a special package for you. But for the purpose of this, we're just going to talk about the base package that we're doing. So really excited. We have a testimony from Levi, who says, from templates and process flows to scripting automations, they teach it all. In this course, I was able to get 150K of soft commitments just from my first email, which sounds insane. Here's what Miriam said. The capital raising course was so valuable. You can tell careful thought and consideration was put into each module. It literally enables you to plug and play in order to successfully build your own capital raising. We're going to be posting all kinds of testimonies, video testimonies, testimonies from the Family Office Club, testimonies from Binky, from Camila. We have been around and we want to bring other people with us because it gets lonely at the top, right? We don't want to be the only capital raisers that are having success. We want to include everybody. So here's the QR code. Once again, feel free to scan. We'll be reaching out to you, I'm sure. But for anybody that wants to get started, this Family Office Club and our capital raising mentorship is evolving, pivoting. We're going to be probably putting together a trip to Costa Rica or Cabo San Lucas or Playa del Carmen. And we're not going to charge like crazy amounts to join that. We're just like, we just want to hang out and build relationships with people. This is the power of networking. That's our main interest. We want to help people scale. We want to scale ourselves. We want to make partners just like everybody else in the room. So this is our team. Myself, Vinky, she's done like 16 syndications. Camila's got experience with co-GPs and working with LPs. So we all have different skill sets. And of course, Richard Wilson is an incredible rock star. Definitely, you're going to want to hang out with him as much as possible. He's probably the smartest capital raiser on the planet, as Grant Cardone would tell you. So here's some of the things that you're going to get. 12 modules, right? So those are going to be live. There's going to be 12 expert sessions, which is the one where we bring a capital raiser in and then open it up for networking. We're going to do inclusive masterminds where we get people together, find out where they're struggling. We're going to address them. We're going to hold them accountable in different sessions. We're going to have our inner circle, multiple newsletters, drip campaigns, technology, whatever your thing is. We're not trying to put together a package where we're offering stuff that's all inclusive when you don't need it. Like, right, if you don't need a website, why are you going to pay for a website? You probably already have a website. But if you do need that, or you need specific help or done for you marketing, we're going to have people, somebody that wants to launch a fund, for example. I know multiple fund architecture consultants. I'll hook you up with those people because lawyers, as amazing as they are, they protect you, but they don't always give you business advice. I'll hook you up with the people that give you that business advice. Of course, the one-on-one sessions, and I can't believe the Family Office Club is included. Our price today is 10 grand. The Family Office Club, if you go to familyoffices.com, it's $5 just by itself. So we're offering amazing, amazing value. So really excited about this. With this, I'm going to turn it over to Camila, who's going to give her 2 cents, and then turn it over to Vinky, who's going to do one last random drawing for another $2,500 ticket to the Miami Super Summit, which is going to have 125 speakers and going to be an amazing opportunity to network. And if you're interested in finding out more about the Family Office Club and what's included, just go to familyoffices.com. That entire base package is going to be included in what we do. Camila, take it away.
Thanks, Ruben. I'm so excited to be partnering with Ruben and Vinky on this to really kind of give back, right? Because a quick story, when I first started out, trying to raise capital, you heard Chris Roberts say he raised 300,000 his first time. I raised 50,000. Like, woo, yay me. My goal was 500,000. I raised 50. And it wasn't until I hired a mentor and I went through the process of analyzing what did I do wrong, what do I need to have in place, that the next time I did 500,000. Then the next time it was 700,000. And then it just continues to grow and snowball. And that's the value of having a mentor who's been there, done that. And, Vinky, Ruben, and I, we might just be like 5 steps ahead of you right now in where you are. You may just need small pieces of us, but the power of having 3 of us in this program is just magnified. And we are so excited to give back and to help those behind us as we continue blazing the trail and bringing them up. And, maybe someday I will catch up to Richard. I don't know if I ever will, but happy to be rubbing shoulders with him as well and partnering with him on this amazing program.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ruben and Camilla. I'm super excited to partner with Ruben, Camilla, and Richard. I was recently in the San Francisco conference with Richard and Ruben. What an amazing energy over there. I just loved every minute being there. And I seriously feel blessed in this partnership with everybody, just like Camilla. I started with a very small raise. My first raise was, I targeted at $500,000. I raised 350 million. I was like, whoa, I rocked it. And I think once you do your first raise, after that, it's kind of a cookie cutter. But your cutter has to get bigger and bigger. Cookie has to get bigger over time. And you have to learn some tools and tricks, how to scale. And that's what we thought is a good partnership for us, how we can share our knowledge with everybody else. And today was such a power-packed performance. I mean, the sessions that we had, this masterclass was such a power-packed masterclass. I'm confident that there was plenty of valuable takeaways for each and every one of you. And like I said, we had our first draw, and congratulations to Paula again. And now we are off to our second draw. Again, like Ruben mentioned multiple times, it's a ticket to the Miami conference by family office, which is around $2,500. So keep your fingers crossed. Let me share my screen. Let's bring up our next winner. I think I can share.
Oh, here we go.
There you go.
It's on a different screen.
So everybody can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Fingers
Drum roll.
crossed. Okay, drum rolls.
Here we go.
And here we go. The next winner. Boom.
You have to be in attendance.
Yeah, you have to be here.
You
in
have
order
to be here. Yep.
And Jared
Oh,
Alexander.
wow.
Congratulations.
Jared.
Jared, you're in the house, right?
Yeah, if you're there, please put your information in the chat for us so we can share the details with you.
Make sure he's here.
Yeah, let's make sure he's here.
Let's see. Jared, please chime in the chat if you're there. Let's wait a couple of minutes. If you didn't hear, we can roll it again.
I'll take his ticket.
Yes.
Hilarious.
I don't see him in the I don't think he's here.
You don't see him? Did you search for him? Let's
Man,
look
that
for
would
him.
have,
Yeah.
that's
All right.
that's
One more
unfortunate.
chance. There you go.
All right. See if we can get someone who's here.
Oh,
No, that's not gonna work.
obviously,
That's not gonna work.
then again.
I had a
Okay.
feeling that was gonna happen.
Richard will already be there.
I have to go.
One more. I'm sorry, Richard, I didn't remove you. Victoria Tinsley.
Victoria, are you in the house? If
Are you
so,
there,
say
Victoria?
something
Nope.
in the chat.
No Victoria.
Whoops.
Victoria?
One more time.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
go again. Let's find someone
Right.
who's here.
That's what I was saying. Stay till the end.
Yep. Carlos is still here.
He really wants to win.
Justin.
We have a
are you there?
winner. Wow, what a missed opportunity. Right.
Nope.
It's a huge missed opportunity.
No Justin either.
$2,500.
No Justin?
Dang.
Are you sure?
That's like-
Oh, wait a minute.
Justin Bach is here.
Yes, he is here. Ooh, all right, Justin.
Congratulations,
Congratulations,
Justin.
brother. That's
Please share
awesome,
your
dude.
contact information with us. We'll send you the details.
Do you want to give a quick blurb on what that event is going to be? I know there's going to be 125 speakers. Richard, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I get bored really easily and I don't want to get bored at my own events. And so the longest anybody talks, unless they are a billionaire, is 15 minutes over the whole 3 days. And so many events have different streams of content and you have to go to the different rooms, and we're not like that. We have one stream, 125 speakers over 3 days, be about 1,200 people there, great quality audience. And we have more ultra wealthy families and family offices speaking on stage than any other event globally. So we just pack the stage, and when there's a discussion panel, it's 5 to 7 people and it's done in 35 minutes. So like, you're just, if you don't like 5 of our 125 speakers. It'll be over before you know it, because no one's on stage giving an hour-long talk from some Oxford professor on a bunch of technical graphs of economics or anything that's going to put you to sleep. So it's super fast moving and fun. And Ayana, we're not currently hiring right now, but happy to keep in touch and shoot over your information if you know someone that's looking. And you never know, maybe we could fit someone in. So, but yeah, awesome that you won, Justin. So looking forward to meeting you there in person. I know Ruben's going to be there.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring my wife. This is gonna be fun.
Cool. Yeah.
Awesome. With that, what do you say? Let's wrap it up. Like, amazing job to all the speakers: Chris, Tyler, John Casman, Scott Myers, Bethany. Who am I missing? Oh, and Brandon. Oh, you guys just crushed it. So I'm not sure if you know all of those guys, Richard, but man, hopefully you like their content. Those guys were absolutely amazing. Looking forward to doing this again in about 2 months. And we'll see you then. You'll probably be receiving some emails from you. But anybody that wants to sign up, come join us now. I can't guarantee you it's going to be $10,000 next year. But right now, that's like an amazing value. Cool.
Yeah, I put the link in the chat again for everyone. If you wanted to click on that and join us today, that'd be super awesome.
And reach out if you have questions about the program too. The three of us would be happy to get on a call with you and to discuss and see if it actually is a good fit for what you're looking for. Because we just want to support new people and people who want to scale, right? So we can all work together and help each other. It's collaboration, not competition.
That's true. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us. Looking forward to seeing you at future events. With that,
Thanks, everyone.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye.